Here. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the End of Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin. I have Scarlett with me here today. We have been waiting for this episode for a while, so thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited for this episode today. I know it's going to be magical.
It's going to be great. And we were just having like a little preamble for you all, just prepping for today's topic intuitively. But before we dive into all the goodness, can you share with us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Absolutely. So, my name is Scarlett, aka the Biz Hippie, and I am an abundance coach. And I help coaches, entrepreneurs, and healers transform their relationship with money from the inside out so that they can confidently live their most abundant lives, so that they can pursue their businesses and be fully supported by the work that they love.
Beautiful, absolutely amazing. All of us need this, right? I was actually just on a client visit and they were asking me how I got started in business. And one of my largest pulls and really big tells early on in my career building, I was working a 9 to 5 for about 8 months at a local nonprofit here. And I remember driving into work every day and just thinking to myself, is this all that life has to offer me? And I'm like 23 years old, thinking about sitting at a desk for the rest of my life and having no control over my own career was just so depressing. It gave me no drive. So do you see that a lot in what you do with your clients? Do you hear a lot of those stories?
Ugh, yes, big time. And I also really resonate with your story too. My story was so similar. Like, I used to feel trapped by money. I felt like money was the thing, and success and like achieving and being responsible and doing it right and like succeeding at life. Like, all of those things were pushing me to live life a certain way, to do what I thought I was supposed to do, become who I thought I should be. And I realized that that was so far away from truly who I was and what I wanted, and that I was living a life based on should instead of based on what I actually wanted. And so a huge part of my journey was breaking free from this success trap or the money trap of, oh, I need to work hard so I can make a lot of money. And instead, I chose to believe that it was possible for me to do the work that I love and get paid and be financially supported while doing it. So that's been a huge part of my journey that I've been on. And it's also what I help my clients do as well, especially because some of my clients are in full-time 9 to 5 jobs and they are early on in their business and they're wanting to transition to be full-time in their business. Or some of my clients are early stage business and have already left a 9 to 5, but they have other side gigs that are really paying the bills. And they're wondering, how can I really make this work that I love, my business that I love, my full-time paycheck? And that's a huge part of the transition and the work that I do is how can you truly get paid to do the work that you love so that you can live your most abundant life?
So good. I'm just taking notes as well if you see me looking down. Um, I love what you focus on because I see clients all the time walk away from their business, maybe even too soon before they get rewarded, for the hard work that they've put into their company. And what do you say to those clients that are like, I have to put food on the table. I have kids, right? I have to put them through college. And what form of advice would you give them if they're not seeing the payoff yet? And they're starting to maybe even get a little bit impatient with that process.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I personally relate to this. I've been in business for almost 5 years now, and I love to say to my clients and to my people, I have taken the scenic route when it comes to business. I was not an overnight millionaire by any means of the stretch, and I really like thought something like that would happen, and it didn't. In fact, it took me many years to really start making money in my business, and I thought that there was something wrong with me. And now I'm recognizing, oh no, business just takes time. It takes time to build up that momentum. And so for my clients, what I teach them when they're feeling this frustration, when they're wondering when the money's going to come, is one, recognizing Business takes time, so how can you commit to it for the long haul? And a huge part of this is finding the balance between being financially stable and solid and also finding the way to keep going with your business, even when it feels challenging, even when it feels like it's not working. Some of the clients that I talk to, they're what I call volatile visionaries, where they're kind of like, screw financial stability. Like, I'm just going to go all in for it. I'm going to risk everything. And it's like they're very attached to the vision. They take big risks, big leaps of faith, which is amazing. Like, that's really powerful, potent energy, but it's not always grounded in safety and reality. And that creates volatility. It's like an emotional roller coaster of like, I'm so confident, I believe in myself, but then like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, I'm so afraid, I'm starting to search for jobs online. And so, what I teach my clients how to do is find this balance between both. And really, what this comes down to is learning to manage and be in control of your money. Because when you manage your money, you can see clearly exactly how much money you really need to be making to live your life. And then it just becomes a decision, a choice of, okay, I want to pursue my business. This is what I'm willing to sacrifice in order to do so. This is what I'm not willing to sacrifice in order to do so. Here's how much money I need to be making in order to live this life. And let me choose how to bring that money in. Maybe it is from a part-time job, but it's going to be an aligned part-time job that doesn't take too many hours, that's paying me exactly the amount that I need, right? Because so many people get this expectation that I'm not making money in my business, I need to get a full 9 to 5 job. And that's not always the case. You might only need a couple $100s in order to get by. And how can you find that safety and stability from a grounded, strategic place? And then also, when you have this clear picture of your money, it's easy for you to make that transition full time into your business because you know exactly how much you need to be making in order to make that happen. So it just brings that whole vision into reality.
Such a good point, too, where I believe in modern day society, we think we need so much more. Like, that's the consumer, right? Working in social media, I see this all the time. People want things quick, fast, and they have this expectation now because that's what they see online, that it will happen overnight. And of course, that can happen to some people. Most of the time, even if it does, in my line of work, I've seen it not be sustained. It's like one big month, then the next month isn't getting there. Or maybe even in the negative from that month. So I love how you really lay it out and have people sit down and really think about, like, how much does it actually cost me to live and sustain my lifestyle versus just throwing this number out there of what I think I should be making.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just grounding it into reality, which makes such a huge difference. It eliminates money stress and financial pressure. It takes that stress and pressure off your business, which makes it easier for you to land sales. If you have a bunch of money stress and fear, impacting your day-to-day life, and then you get on a sales call, those people can feel it, and that energy behind your money and your relationship to money plays such a huge role in the actual success of your business.
I see this all the time where people project what they are feeling into the client conversation. And this was kind of what I would love to dive into a little bit more of: our beliefs, our emotions, and what happens when we start to create this negative paradigm, whether it's with team members, clients, relationships in our personal lives. Like, we almost embody this emotion rather than realizing it's just a moment in time. How do you see this play out for your clients, whether it's about money or even just other, maybe, past beliefs that they brought into their businesses as well?
Yeah, yeah, this is such a huge theme because a huge part of the work that I do is really getting to the core subconscious belief and mindset around money. And one of the reasons why this is so powerful is because money bleeds into every area of life, and money has a huge impact on your business because your business is all about money. It is literally a money-making machine. So the work that we do around money does bleed into every single area of your life. And when you transform your relationship with money, you're also transforming your relationship with yourself, because your money is how you create your life. It's how you live your life. It's about what you believe about you. It's about what you believe about the world. And all of that is reflected in your money. And so if you have underlying subconscious beliefs that there's not enough to go around, that you're not worthy enough, that you're not good enough, and you're not deserving of money, or if you have this idea of starving artist syndrome, like either I can enjoy my life and be broke, or I can do a job that I hate but make money, right? If you have any of these scarce based beliefs, these are what I call scarcity seeds with my clients. All of this is going to show up and impact your life. It's going to impact your life. It's going to impact your money. It's going to impact your business. And so bringing awareness to your current relationship with money, the beliefs, the stories, the patterns that were instilled in you from when you were a child, what you learned about money growing up, all of that is impacting your success in your business, because all of that bleeds into how you show up, what you say, how you market, how you sell, how you spend, how you save. And right, like that just impacts every single area of your life. So on the one hand, yes, managing and tracking and being strategic with your money is vitally important, and that's why it's part of what I teach, but it's only half of the equation. The other half is doing the internal work of transforming your relationship with money, healing the scarcity, and stepping into a truly abundant mindset when it comes to your finances.
It's so good. That's everything that I believe as well. And directly seen as you have too in my business, you know. And I see it in other people's businesses as well. And sometimes even their team members that like aren't getting the promotion that they wish that they would have gotten, right? And it's sad. Like, what do you tell these clients? What are those tools? Can we give some tools today for our listeners on how to start to heal this, you know, with ourselves?
Yeah, and it's so important because it really, like I said earlier, it really does impact every area of your life, because you can see like the way that it unfolds. If you have scarce based beliefs and you take action from that place, your money is an expander. It's just going to amplify and expand those fear and scarce based beliefs and get more of those results in your life. And if you're making assumptions about your clients, right? And oh, they're not willing to pay for this, or oh, they don't have a lot of money, or I'm scamming them. This isn't worth the price point. If you make all of those assumptions, it's going to be really hard for you to sell. So getting to the core of it is so valuable and important. And in my work, I do a lot of deep coaching techniques to like really get to the core of when these beliefs were instilled and transform them and really like alchemize and shift the story and shift the narrative. But just to get started, the first thing that you can do is start to bring awareness to your current relationship with money. Sometimes we're really disconnected from our money and we just think it's something happening outside of us that we don't have control over, and it's just like this object that's disconnected from us. But you are in control of your money, and your money is a perfect mirror of you and your like subconscious and your beliefs about yourself and the world. And so start to notice what emotions come up around money. When you look at your bank account, when you think about spending money, when you say no to things, when you say yes to things, when you are making money, notice what are the thoughts, what are the beliefs that you have about money. What are your beliefs about your worthiness, your deserving of money? Do you believe money is evil? Do you believe money is bad? What do you feel and think about your money, and how that bleeds into your relationships with people, how that bleeds into your business, your sales calls, the way you think about your offer, the way you think about your services, and start to notice where these stories, where the story of your money is rooted in fear and scarcity and not enoughness, and start to bring awareness to where that comes from. Where did you learn these ideas of not enoughness? And as you start to uncover the seed of scarcity and the way that that pattern unfolds in your life, what happens as a result of having these beliefs about money, then you'll start to see the pattern clearly and you'll begin to create more space so you can start to shift that pattern and begin to instill new abundance-based beliefs, which are going to get you different abundance-based results.
It's so cool. It like really is just a science, you know. And I love that you mentioned so many people believe that they can't figure out this money machine, you know, it feels so far away. And in reality, my fiance and I were just talking about this actually. All of the people that are wealthy in the world are exactly like us, you know, like they're just people. And a lot of them may not even know, right, that they have some of these beliefs and they may be playing out in elsewhere in their lives, maybe just not through their bank account. And everybody's patterns play out differently, like you said, based off of who they are, how they were raised, and maybe even in my experience, ancestral beliefs, you know, that weren't mine at all. So, can you tell us a little bit more about how you help your clients really create this new paradigm? Maybe even some of the stories for yourself that you've left behind in your own money stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a multiple step process that I take my clients through, and I'd love to share it with you because I think even just hearing about this will start to bring a new perspective to your money. Because often, a lot of the clients that I work with, they feel stressed about money and they feel like they don't have enough. And that's really the underlying pattern and motivation. It's, I don't have enough money. I need to work harder. I need to work more to make more money. But what I have found is it's not about making more money. It's about transforming your relationship with the money that you already have. Because I've worked with clients who have very little money, who feel stressed, who feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck and are barely getting by. And I've worked with clients who have lots of money, consistent, solid 9 to 5 income, and they still feel like they're stressed about money. They still feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck. They still feel like they're barely getting by. You can be bringing in more and more money, but if you haven't addressed the underlying relationship with money, it doesn't matter. You're still going to have the same results, which is why the solution is not just work harder, make more money, because you can still have the same money stress and same fears and same pressure that you do now. And so, how you solve this and the practice that I take my clients through is first starting with your internal relationship with money. And this is where we dig into bringing awareness to your scarcity seeds. What are the beliefs that you have about money? The 3 primary seeds, I already mentioned them, are worthiness, not enoughness, and what I call starving artist syndrome, the either or life. And I know for me, in my life and my business, I have experienced all 3 of these and have had to do deep healing around all 3 of these. And just for some business examples, right? When you first start your business, you're like, oh, there's so many people life coaching, for example. Like, why would there's not room in the market for me? Why would anyone listen to me, right? That's that not enoughness. There's not enough for me. Worthiness. I'm not good enough. Who would ever listen to me? I'm not worth $100 an hour, for example. I need to lower my prices. I can't deliver at that rate. No one's going to pay for this, right? Or starving artist syndrome. I love what I do. I would do it for free. Why should I pay for it? Because I enjoy it. Why should people pay for it? Because I enjoy it so much. It's out of alignment with my offer for me to take people's money at the same time, right? All of these are just variations of these 3 scarcity seed beliefs. So uncovering the core's belief and then changing the story around them. This is when we get into scarcity stories, scarcity selves, and scarcity shadows. And this is looking at when were these beliefs instilled in childhood? What were the moments in time where this story was implanted, where you learned these beliefs that you have about money, and using coaching techniques to transform those stories, bringing awareness to the different parts of yourselves, looking at the parts within you that are operating from fear-based places, that are making choices rooted in these scarcity seeds, and starting to bring awareness to these parts of yourself and learning to heal them and help them find safety so that they no longer need to take action from a place of financial stress. And then uncovering the shadows that are the subconscious beliefs and the subconscious patterns that have been unfolding as a result. What circumstances are you constantly creating in your life because of these core beliefs? And so we uncover all of that in the first month of the program. Like that is the beginning. And it's so fun because you now have the tools to recognize these things and have awareness around these things for the rest of your life. So you'll know how to shift them and change them and adjust them. And then from there, once we've done all this internal healing, the deep dive into bringing awareness to the scarcity, that's when you learn to manage your money. And the other reason why this is important is because now we're grounding your money in reality. Because previously, most people are making like emotional assumptions about their money, thinking I need more, thinking I don't have enough, thinking I'm never going to have enough, right? And like I can't say yes to this thing because I don't have the money, or I will say yes to this thing even if I don't have the money, right? We're just making like volatile emotional decisions that aren't rooted in any reality. And so learning to manage your money puts the control back in your hands. So instead of money controlling you, you are in control of your money, and you can see your financial reality, which is just your reality. It's your life on paper clearly. And you can make choices and decisions with your money in alignment with your vision and the life you want to live so that that becomes your reality. And that's just like the core foundation of how to transform your relationship with money. But it really is the combination of the internal work and the tangible external work.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for like explaining more of your program at that like month based level too, and what the length of time is. Cause I think we also tell ourselves, like, if we're telling ourselves story about money, then we're like, oh my gosh, that's going to take me years to heal. Healing can feel like it's this huge mountain to climb, when in reality, it doesn't have to be, like you just described. I also want to touch on the piece that you mentioned about safety. This is something that is really coming forward for me in past few months. I mean, honestly, the past few years, but this sense of like making ourselves feel safe and what can happen when we're not feeling safe, because we are just like operating out of fight or flight. A lot of people I find are sometimes turned off by that language. They almost can be offended. Like, no, I definitely feel safe. I feel safe with this situation. But really, once they think about their actual nervous system state, it may even just be their body doesn't feel safe, you know, if they've trained their mind to think that they are safe. What would you say to clients that maybe have this perception of safety?
Yeah. Well, safety truly is the foundation, right? That is the foundation. And really what this comes down to, and a huge part of what happens for my clients as we're doing this work and healing the relationship with money, is developing self-trust and self-love and self-confidence. And that's a big part of the safety journey, is a lack of self-trust, like not trusting yourself, not truly loving yourself, not having that confidence. And so starting at the foundation of finding safety, and the way that I talk about it, the way that I teach it is, we have different parts of ourselves. And these different parts of ourselves within us have different needs and different desires, but they all have the same core foundation, which is they are here in service to you. They are serving you, they are protecting you, and in some way they are keeping you safe. And so in our lives, when we self-sabotage, when we're like, no matter how hard I work or no matter what I do, it never seems to work, or I make money and then I spend it and it goes away, or I just can't seem to make more money or be successful in my business, or, I fail in romantic relationships, whatever it is, the self-sabotaging behavior is rooted in a self, a part of you trying to keep you safe from something. And so many people that I talk to try to like kill off the inner critic. It's like, kill the inner critic. You're evil. You're bad. You're holding me back. And I'm like, no, that really doesn't work. You're just banishing that self into the shadows and they're still going to impact you. You're just going to be unaware of it. And it's still going to keep happening. And so, again, bringing awareness to the parts of yourself that are living life rooted in fear, rooted in scarcity, rooted in lack, rooted in not enoughness. And as a result, they are taking their hand on the wheel and causing you to do something. They're causing you to run away from making money in your business because you're afraid you can't deliver to your clients, right? They're causing you to fail for a reason. And so what you have to do is tap into this self, ask this self what it needs to feel safe, and then satisfy it and say, oh, how can I help this part of me feel safe so that it no longer feels the need to hold me back from the thing that I'm trying to step into? And that tool has been a game changer for my clients. It's really like one of the key pieces that helps you to step into your next level, most abundant vision, because the only reason why you're not there now is because there's some part of you that's holding you back from it. So when you dive into that part and heal that part, now it doesn't hold you back anymore and it just becomes your reality.
It's so good. I love what you're sharing. It's almost like it's really challenging to describe this as well. And I think you're doing such an amazing job at like putting us throughout like the emotional state, of what it feels like. Because I meet so many entrepreneurs and they have like numbed themselves. And from experience, I have also done that because I really told myself, like, well, why can't I do this? Why am I feeling like if I have a cup of coffee, I'm going to like faint on my Zoom call with my clients because I'm just so overwhelmed. Like I'm operating from a place of pure adrenaline. And in my experience, I had to really slow down, like in order to speed up in my company. And sometimes now, when I see that with other clients, like I'm also a very empathic, highly sensitive person. A lot of our listeners are as well. And like I will take that on. Like I almost absorb the energy. And then I have to come back home, go for a walk. I rarely wear shoes in my house because I just find it like it grounds me, whether I'm in the soil or even just on the hardwood floor here. I have to remind myself that that's not my stuff. And maybe that's my clients, or maybe that's the ancestors of my clients, and they might not even be aware that that's what they're experiencing. The second part of this question that I want to ask you is, I also can't try to fix them and fix their business. As a service provider, I have felt immense pressure to have my clients be successful. And at times when they aren't, blame myself for the separation of our, journeys, or sometimes a failing business. What would you say to these empathic, highly sensitive beings that are service providers that know that they're supposed to be doing this, but maybe have some of this sticky energy around them at times?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, business is really one of the biggest personal growth journeys that you can be in, especially as a like heart-centered entrepreneur and as a service provider, because you are your work. And in order to sell yourself and make money, you have to have some solid beliefs in yourself. You have to do a lot of healing. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And you also have to have a certain level of resiliency. And I know for me in my business, I took everything personally, right? I took everything personally. Like when it wasn't working, when people said no to me on sales calls, no matter how hard I tried, right? I took that personally. There must be something wrong with me. What am I doing wrong? Why isn't it working? I'm not good enough. They must not like me. There's something wrong with me, right? Or with my clients when they're not getting the results, when maybe one session they don't have a powerful magical breakthrough, or maybe the conversation was a little awkward, or I felt like I kind of pushed them too hard and they were uncomfortable. Yet that's exactly kind of what I'm supposed to do as a coach, right? And just like having all of those emotions and really attaching my self-worth to my business and the service that I provide. But really, these are different things. You are whole and complete and worthy and enough and good enough, right? And that comes back to this core, everything that we talked about earlier, right? Healing the shadows, the seeds, the self, so you can build deep self trust, self love, and self confidence, right? And then learning to see your offer objectively, see that it is separate from you. Yes, you are the provider of your service, but you are not your service. And if somebody doesn't resonate or get value or it doesn't work for them, that has nothing to do with you and who you are as a person. And then same with the business, right? The business and the selling. And like if people say no, sure, there's ways that you can learn to improve your selling and get better and more effective. And it doesn't mean anything about you, right? And so the other part of doing this work is you're learning to view your life from a grounded, solid, emotional place where you can feel truly confident in yourself and you can process emotions more effectively, get out of this fight or flight stress state, tap into your most confident and abundant self, and take action from there, right? Because money, and again, how this ties into the work that I do with money, like money is often our greatest fight or flight activator. Right? It's our survival. It's stressful. So when you learn how to find safety with your finances and within yourself, you can do that in any context. You can do it in your business when people say no. You can do it in uncomfortable conversations in your romantic relationships. Like once you learn these tools with your money, because your money is like the deepest layer of personal growth, your money is literally a reflection of your whole entire life, then you can do it with everything.
So interesting to hear you say that. I do believe that as well, the money piece of just being that massive reflector. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a little bit more of a selfish question, but I know that people listening have experienced this as well. And when you work with a client that isn't happy, right? Or at times, sometimes the rhetoric can come across brash or uncomfortable, as you mentioned. And for highly sensitives, some of what I used to do, like in my early teens, was fight back. As I healed, I learned that there was a lot of power within the silence of moments after a situation like that. Now, as I've gotten older and I also have a team to protect, as well as partners that I bring in on different business agreements, I feel protective, almost like a mama bear, if a client, and again, they're operating from a stressful position, as you mentioned, maybe not experiencing the mirror with money that they expected in their own corporation and career path. And I want to hold a lot of empathy, but at times I find that there's this gray area. What is the line of disrespect? And what is the line of respecting and also holding space for them during a stressful moment? Do you have tips or tools for that?
Yeah, this is so interesting. I think there's a couple pieces here that are important to keep in mind. And one is treating your business like a business. And this is a huge thing with especially with my clients is especially as earlier on service providers like you're the business, it's easy to again attach yourself to the business and just be like, "Oh, it's me." But your business is a business. It is a corporation. It is not you. And how this like how one way that we metaphorically do this is like learning to manage your business finances, right? Right? Like that's okay, I'm treating my business like a serious, legit business. I'm stepping into legit business owner energy and having that symbolic act of becoming the CFO of your business helps you step into that grounded business owner energy. And so I think stepping into your grounded business owner energy and separating the human emotions and healing those separately and saying like, okay, in this situation, my human and the different parts of myself are having responses, right? Like there might be an inner child self that's coming to the surface and is like, what did I do wrong? Or I just want to make everything nice and better, right? There could be a lot of different emotions coming to the surface. It's important to heal this first. And this can show up in a variety of contexts. It could be like you put out social media marketing, you thought it was going to go well and it didn't. And now you're making it mean things about you and how you're a failure and you're not good enough and you're having an emotional response. So healing the emotional response first. This comes back to the stories. It comes back to the selves that we talked about earlier. And then once you get out of this fear place, this not enough place, the scarcity seeds place, and you can shift back into your most abundant self, then take action from that place in your business based on who you are as your best, most confident, grounded business owner self, right? And I think just having that ability to process the emotions and see them as separate from the business first is going to make a huge difference in the way you react and show up and respond in your business.
It's perfect. It's spot on. That was exactly what I was hoping you were going to say. Almost comes back to that patience piece, like allowing yourself time to process. And again, we think like the world works so fast and we must respond right now, or we lack self-worth, right? Or we lack, sticking up for ourselves. And it's like, especially from a highly sensitive point of view, because a lot of us have been passive most of our lives or not use that throat chakra to connect and voice our feeling, that I believe in this journey, it can become extremely confusing, especially when you throw a business on top of it. So yeah, I love the idea of just the patience and allowing yourself time to process and giving yourself time to process before you respond. I know in my experience, and I more so just want to share this for the listeners as well, most of the time with clients, because it is a relationship, it can fall into a similar dynamic that we have with our beliefs, which is a pattern-oriented dynamic. And if you're able to give yourself the time to step back to reprogram that pattern and also give your client space to grow and or positive feedback from that abundance stand place, most of the time you can change that paradigm. And most of the time you can start to change the outcome of your work together as well. And sometimes that doesn't happen. And maybe they are ready for someone new. And most of the time they try to communicate that to us, but we don't hear it. So I think that also comes back to the patience and taking it all in for what it is, processing, then responding, as you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. I love what you touched on of shifting the paradigm. Like you have to shift it within yourself first, and that will shift the results. And that ties into like this specific context, but it ties into like every area of your life. If you're taking action from a fear-based emotional place, like you're going to get results that reflect that versus taking action from a really grounded, solid, abundant, confident place, you're going to get results that reflect that in your life. And one other thing that came to mind when you were talking, and this is a huge piece of the work that I do with my clients, is when things happen in our lives, what do we make those things mean about us? And so many of us are patterned to have these circumstances continue to fuel scarce-based beliefs. Like, oh, this is more evidence that I'm not good enough. This is more evidence that there's not enough room for me. This is more evidence that it's never going to work out and there's something wrong with me, right? These are extreme examples, but these are common underlying patterns. But what if we took these circumstances, and instead of making them mean scarce things about us, we made them mean abundance-based things about us, and really learning to see the power, the abundance. You right shift the evidence that we are collecting, we can make that our new reality.
Oh my gosh. Perfect. I feel like this is a perfect ending. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with our listeners on how they can get in touch with you, more about your offers? Of course, we'll have all the links below where you all can get in touch with Scarlett and learn from her. And I hope that you all also take time to process this conversation, sit with it, right? And really think about, many of us in business need support. Like, I know if I didn't have my coaches to reflect a lot of this back to me, I became an emotional web, right? And it was very challenging to see it. So I trust Scarlett. I would love for you all to connect with her. How can we do so once we're ready?
Absolutely. So I love to offer to people who listen to any podcast that I'm on a free abundance activation session, which is a 30-minute deep dive session where we'll bring awareness to your current scarcity seeds. We'll get crystal clear on the vision of your most abundant life, and I'll show you the roadmap to how to make that real, to how to create that most abundant life. And then if you want to explore taking this work further, going deeper and working together, we can have time for that conversation as well. So that's one way that you can take a really powerful first step and dive deeper into this work. Other ways that you can connect with me is I have my own podcast, which is the Empowered and Abundant podcast on all platforms. And you can also connect with me on Instagram as well at the Biz Hippie. I am super engaged on Instagram. So if you want to shoot me a message and say hi and tell me what stood out to you in this podcast episode, I would absolutely love to hear it and would love to continue the conversation there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. For all of our listeners multitasking, all the links are in the show notes below. Feel free to DM me if you would like me to connect you directly to Scarlett. And I hope that you all take advantage of the activation, because that is a great gift. And it's time to level up. If you're feeling called, take action and do so. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.